Last night the situation, as I told you, is getting worse. It's a real emergency in Venezuela. The whole country is without power. It's just sometimes the power is coming to the capital, but the transmission of the electricity just throughout thermoelectric machines just blow up. So it's getting worse because we don't have a real solution in Venezuela about this situation. And it's getting worse just because the government has no capacity and they are not available and they have not will to bring it up with solution in Venezuela.
So the power outage now by the Maduro government is being blamed on the U.S. and a cyber attack, but some experts are saying it's due to a transmission line. It seems like certainly a messy situation. What's your take on that blame game?
Well, that is part of the immense irresponsibility of this government. It's not good enough to be inefficient, trying to make a good administration of the national resources and the money. It's not enough to be a corrupted. It's not enough to be a criminal government. And so now they just try to bring it up with fake news in order to try to say to the world that of victimizing of this situation. So that is not the reality.
We see what's going on in Venezuela in the news, in our homes comfortably in Calgary. What's a day in the life for a Venezuelan right now as we look at these pictures?
I have seen very painful this picture because maybe you don't know, but the river that you have seen in Caracas is unclean river. It's very toxic. It's the river that we use just to send all the materials, bad materials and everything. So when you see people just bring water from unclean river in Venezuela in this kind of indignity situation, this is the Somalization, the Africanization of the conflict in Venezuela. So what next? Next is that the international community have to realizing that in Venezuela is not about just talking about human rights abusing. It's about a starving, a very serious situation. And when I'm saying the Somalization of the conflict in Venezuela, I'm saying that we are just in the border of this civil and social catastrophe. So maybe we need to start thinking and talking about responsibility to protect.
We know that Canada and the U.S. government, we know Europe has publicly supported Juan Guaido as interim leader, the rightful leader. What else should the international community be doing? Do you think there's a peaceful resolution to figuring the situation out?
When you try to dialogue or try to find a peaceful solution with some rational person, you're going to make it. But when you try to talk with a violent people, criminal people that they don't mind and they lying to the world about what's going on in Venezuela, I don't see, unfortunately, peaceful solution in Venezuela, which means that if we do not think seriously that we are kidnapped by
Are you asking for military? Do you think the military intervention?
Military intervention is confusing because in Venezuela we are not talking a war. It's not internal war. It's not international occupation by international forces. I'm talking an international coalition, very well organized by Red Cross, by international corporation, by international nation that try to get into the Venezuela under surveillance way. And if these people, the government, just try to keep the same attitude to block the entrance of this kind of help, so that means that we need to get to the other steps. It's not a possibility in the middle of century 21 that we leave this situation of abusing, a starving situation that people, kids, children dying in the hospital. We have no medicine and we have a totally mess in the country, and the whole world is just talking about peaceful solution.
So you're staying in Canada, and you're just going to continue to spread the message about what's going on in Venezuela?
Yes, I'm going to Edmonton tomorrow. I'm going to Vancouver, and then I gotta get back to Montreal, where I live, and then to Ottawa to still running with the Canadian government fighting for solution in my country.
Orlando, thanks for coming in today. Spreading
Thank you
message.
very much for having me.